All right, everybody. Josh and Gray. End of week 5 for the challenge. And we've gone over a lot of topics here, right? We've covered a lot. But one of the questions we're having all the time, which is why we cover it in week 5, is like going over the workouts. A lot of people are new. Maybe this is the first time they've ever done. There's a couple people doing our challenge. It's the first time in the gym, right? First time really being in the gym 4 to 5 times. So there's a lot of questions about technique. One of the questions I got this week was like, how do I know if I'm doing enough weight?
Yeah.
How do I make this harder? How do I make this easier? How do I know if I'm working hard enough? All that kind of stuff. So a lot of our content this week has been around making your workouts harder. How do I know if I'm doing enough weight? Challenging yourself, pushing yourself in the gym, and when do you feel comfortable increasing weight? So if we're talking about increasing weight, what are your rules? If somebody's doing if it calls for 3 sets of 10.
Yeah, so like if you're pressing out 10 reps and you could go a few more, like that weight's too light.
Okay.
That weight's too light. But I also want clients to be mindful of how they're feeling that day too. So like your weight's gonna fluctuate with what you use, especially for women. We've talked about this with your cycle, with training around your period. Your weight's gonna fluctuate with what you use depending on your sleep, your cycle, what you ate that day. Like there are some days that you're gonna be weaker and some days that you might be stronger. But if you're easily pushing out something for 10 reps, like I'm like, all right, you're gonna grab the next set of weights. And then if my client gets to like 8 and fails, I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I like you in that range. Like
One of the things you do is, one of the things you do about your coaching that I do now is you give rep ranges. And I usually work in rep ranges of like 6 to 10, 8 to 12, 12 to 15.
Right.
And I like that because like what you get today for 10 might not be what you get next week for 10.
Right, exactly.
You get 8.
Exactly.
Like you're tired, you didn't sleep well.
Yeah.
Right, that kind of stuff. I think as a rule of thumb, if you get 3 sets of 10 pretty simple, add 5 pounds the next week or the last set.
Yeah, last set.
Like if you're used to doing 25s for 10 reps on shoulder press, then you do 25s for 10 reps and it's easy, try 30s. Maybe you get it 6, 7, or 8. But at least it's going to give you a range. And guys, we don't want to go to failure. You don't want to miss. You don't want to manage. You don't want to challenge technique, right? And that brings us up another thing, technique. You know, we give you videos, but that's not coaching.
Yeah.
Videos aren't coaching. And that's just how it is with the challenge and getting in the weight room, right? Is like you can see a picture or a video of Gray doing an exercise and you're like, my squat doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's also experience.
Correct.
I've been doing it a long time. You might have not been doing it a long time. Here's our offer to y'all. Send us videos.
I
don't care if it's on social media.
Yeah.
I have a guy I've been coaching for a year, and every week I get 2 videos of like, what do you think?
My online clients, I stay accountable that way too. I mean, like a couple workout videos each week, so I know that they're doing their workouts. But absolutely, like the best way that we can tell what you're doing is I don't know what you're doing if you're not sending me anything.
Yeah. If there's any question, let us know. If something hurts,
tell us.
Yeah, don't
we know how to
do
fix it.
Like don't, yeah.
I think too, because most people think like when they're watching the video and they see like one of us squat, they're like, okay, up, down. And there's all right, there's the position of your hips,
that's
the
easy.
position of your feet. There's what should go first. Like should you sit? Should you go through your knees? Like there's always different form cues, and everybody's body's different. So like one person may be squatting with their feet straight. I squat with their feet externally rotated. It just depends on where you're comfortable.
Yeah, bodies are different.
Yeah, there's no like one singular route.
Yeah, bodies are different. So like learning when to go up in weight. How do you know if you're working hard enough? My rule of thumb is always keep 1 rep in the tank. You know, if you're squatting for sets of 10 and you get 8 and you don't know if you can really get 10, don't squeeze out the 10. That's how you get hurt. Like we want to make sure you're being healthy.
Right.
If you go up in weight and you think you could do 1 more maybe, and that's a hard maybe, rack it.
Yeah, rack it.
Right? A lot of research shows that you can get really good gains and strength gains and muscle building gains around 80 to 88% of your max. So if you're working around 80% of what you could do for the most reps, you're fine. Listen, you do not need to train to failure. You do not need to kill yourself in the gym. Keep a couple reps in the tank. We sent everybody the RPE scale, rate of perceived exertion, follow that, right? What are your tips for making exercises harder?
So this one can get a little rocky because you guys are on a program, you're on a set program. So I don't want you guys adding extra sets and reps in, because we program this for a reason. Like I'm programming 3 and 4 sets, not 5 and 6 for a reason, because you guys are going a lot heavier than normal. Generally, if you're doing your own workout and it's something that's a little bit lighter, adding extra sets and reps is great. Decreasing your reps time in between cardio exercises is great. So like if you're resting for 30 seconds and think you want to go harder, rest for 20. In your program now, the only things I would want you to do is slow down the exercise, so you can add eccentrics and concentrics. So eccentrics,
So tempo.
Yeah, your
The
tempo. And there's a video on that too.
Yes.
I don't mind if you pause inside of your exercise. If you are doing a squat and you want to pause for a couple seconds at the bottom, that's great to me. I think that's awesome. And then the other one is just increasing your weight. Those are the only 3 things I would want you to do inside this program.
Just to make it harder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to deter too far from your program, because if I program 6 reps for today and you're doing 10, well, I'm like, all right, what's the point? You obviously can lift heavier.
So one of the disadvantages too to being able to do this and for so long like we've done is we forget that people don't realize that like warm-up sets are involved.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when somebody says, hey, I just did 3 sets of 10 and I'm not even tired. I'm like, what'd you do? Well, I did a lightweight, then I did a little warm-up, then I hit my next set. Well, that's 3 sets. Warm-up sets don't count as work reps.
And if you read the description at the top of your program, it says that.
Yes.
I take 2 or 3 warm-up sets.
Yes, I do. Yeah, 2 to 3 depending on the exercises.
Yeah.
You're really not going to get into a groove until you're going to do a warm-up set, maybe another warm-up set of squats, then a set. You might not you might not get into your groove until your second or third set, work set, right? So like you do a warm up. How many times people put a bar in their back for their first set of squats? They do like no bar for like 10 reps, and they're like, whoo, like my joints are like, I gotta get warm.
Listen, I always tell my clients, and like the first set's always the ugliest, because you haven't, like, you're not getting up in the middle of the day and doing a barbell squat every hour, you know? So like, again, I always say empty barbell first, medium weight that you know you can push out 10 reps for, and then you can do your first heaviest one, depending on how heavy you're about to go. So I'd go from 95 to 135, but I would never go from 95 to 225.
Yeah, sure.
If that makes sense. So just use your brain on that.
Yeah, all the sets and reps are working sets, right? If you're doing sets of squats and deadlifts, you need 2 good warm-up sets minimum to get the body used to the motion.
Yeah.
To get the muscles firing correctly. And then the first set might not be great. Second set could be great. Third set could be your real money set, your push set. Yeah. So when you hear people do these workouts, like, I'm done in 20 minutes. I'm like, do you do any warm-up? They're like, no. I'm like, well,
start doing, take rest time?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wrote that for no reason.
Yeah, and you know, we're not chasing individual exercise workouts, right? I mean, sometimes you feel a lot of people that feel like results are like how tired they are at the end of the workout. If you lift, unless you're doing like a crazy lower body day, you shouldn't be blown out at the end of the workout.
No,
right?
rarely.
You know, metabolically, you're just trying to build muscle, good rest, good work recovery time, stimulate as much muscle as you can, get as much muscle fiber working as you can. So we know that a lot of people are newbies. I want to reiterate this. Send us a video. Right? I don't care if you've got email a video, text a video, send it to us on social media, post it in the group. Let us see you doing the squat, the deadlift, the RDLs, the presses.
And remember, we're not judging you. If I showed you some of my old exercise videos from when I first started,
Sure.
I love to correct form.
Yeah, and honestly, I promise you, it's nothing we haven't heard before.
Right.
We had a client at the gym that's doing the challenge. She looked at me after a set. I looked at her. I go, feet wider. And it's done. It's like...
Well, and I think it's because we want you to move better. Like, I want you to feel good and confident inside of that exercise that you're doing. Like, I want you to go up to it and feel like it's going to be your best one, you know?
There is a fear motivator in back squatting. I'm not going to lie.
I'm fearful. Every time I literally call the bar absurd names because I'm like, I hate you.
Yeah, when I've really squatted heavy, when I've gone through series of my life where like I really was looking to move big weight, there's an adrenaline rush involved in knowing that like you can squat down all the way, like you could die. Like 400 pounds, 500 pounds on your back, like you're like wow, this is pushing life
I black
here.
out a little bit every time I come
this
back
is pushing life here. But that's not what we want for you. Your guys' goal isn't like no one here trying to become a powerlifter and become famous, right? Yeah. Right. So like watch your technique, send us the videos, and we'll go from there. Sound good? All right, end of week 5. See you guys. You are.